think we're ready. At least I try to be. Okay, so that's what I prepared. And I think the title is a bit more promising than what I can offer, but okay, so as we coined a term in the morning that we probably suffer from a mid-conference crisis. So it's after lunch, might be a bit tired, sleepy maybe. So, okay, but let's start. The general outline, as I wrote earlier, you got it. We'll focus on selected scenes from 3 productions. It will be The Taming of a Shrew, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and Age, based on Hamlet. So, can you see it? Should I sit down or move or whatever? Tell me. If you could go. If I go there, I can't see that, but okay, I'll try to. Or just sit down. Okay, I'll try to sit down. Something. Probably I'll stand up at some point. So don't. Okay. Anyway. Okay, 3 productions, and purely for my information, I assume some of you are familiar with at least one of them, 2, 3 probably, because these productions are classic ones. So can you just tell me, is there anyone who doesn't know any of these productions? I hope there is at least one.
I'm sorry,
yeah. The productions. Yeah, great. Okay. Okay, great. Really. Really, yeah, because so those of you who know them, please at certain moments don't spoil. Yeah, don't say, try to pretend you don't know it. Yeah. I don't know why I'm looking that way. Try to pretend you don't know it. Or at least come up with other ideas. Okay, in my department, these productions are usually included in the syllabus of the course on contemporary Polish theater. And it's a course for the first year. And I've been teaching this course for a couple of years now. So I will try to do some exercises I'm trying to do during the class with my students. And of course, as I told you, I teach in the theater studies department, so we deal with questions such as treating Shakespeare as our contemporary and theatrical styles of directors and so on, so on, so on. I'll try to skip it today and concentrate on the question how the selected scenes can be used to spark a discussion, which will focus on interpretation, but at the same time, will encourage the students to express their personal views, their attitudes, and simply talk about political, social, moral issues, and so on, so on, so on. So that's the general idea. We'll see how it works. And, okay, so starting with the first one, I'll show some parts in a moment, but very, very, very short introduction. The Taming of a Shrew, directed by Krzysztof Warlikowski, it's 1998, so, oh my God, it's quite a bit time ago. Krzysztof Warlikowski is one of the most prominent theater directors in Poland. He's almost 60 now. Used to be referred to as one of the youngest at that time. A brilliant young director. Now he's still young, but... Okay, so 1998, it's the early stage of Warlikowski's career. The Taming of the Shrew is his 4th Shakespearean performance. He started with The Merchant of Venice in 1994 in Toruń. Then he staged The Winter's Tale in Poznań, actually. Then there was a production of Hamlet in Israel, and The Taming of a Shrew in Warsaw. So, as you can see, he became famous for including elements of contemporary reality in his productions. And this process went on many levels, including that of the stage design, and I will come back to this question in a moment. That was his trademark, I'd say, that the meanings of Shakespeare's plays were reconstructed, filtered through contemporary thinking. So The Taming of a Shrew became a story about breaking a woman's character, depriving her of her freedom. Some parts of the text were read subversively, like Catherine's final monologue. I won't show it today, but you may remember that Kate is delivering a speech about, how would you say that? The wives should obey their husbands, and that's the women's role in a society, to be respectful toward men, basically. In this performance, Kate, Danuta Stenka, the actress who's playing Kate, delivers this speech very close to the audience. So she's basically talking directly to the audience. And to make the story short, she's crying while telling these words. So we can obviously see that she's saying about that she should obey her husband and listen to him all the time and do what pleases him and so on and so on. But we can see that there is very big tension between the words she speaks and the meaning that is conveyed to the audience. I'm telling you about it because the audience in this performance also has a very important role. And just to show one thing, and I said something about stage design. This is on the left, you have the interior of Dramatic Theatre in Warsaw, for those who don't know the place. And on the right, that's what the audience sees on stage. So as you may see, I hope you see, it works somehow as a mirror. It mirrors the audience. Okay, for now, we'll come back to it in a moment. Because the first scene I would like to start with will be a longer one, I'll tell you. I'll show like 7 minutes of the performance, so it will be a longer one. But before, 2 quotes from The Taming of a Shrew. The situation is that there is going to be a wedding. Petruchio and Kate are getting married. Everyone, Kate, her father, the friends, and so on, expect the groom to come, and they are waiting and waiting. After a moment, he appears, and what Baptista, the father, says is, "First were we sad, fearing you would not come, now sadder that you come so unprovided." The second quote, Tranio, one of the characters, advises Petruchio probably, "See not your wife in these unreverent robes." So that's what we can find in the text. And before I show you the part of the performance, I've got a small task for you. And now I would like to remind those who know the performance very well, please pretend you don't. So the quote is on the top, you can see it. Let's start with imagining what can both the director and the costume designer do with such an information. We focus on unreverent robes.
Excuse me, I have to ask, unreverent, what does that mean?
Inappropriate. So he's coming inappropriately dressed. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Disrespectful. Yeah. Okay, so the first option is that they can follow the text closely. In a way, the performance will. And I will show you the exact description from the text in a moment. But before, I'd like you to think, what would you propose? To, I don't know, think for... Yeah, I want you to be directors and costume designers, and you can, I don't know, discuss it in pairs maybe for a short while. And what would you propose? You know, he comes in an inappropriate attire. What would it be? And at the same time, I'd like you to think about the meaning. So is your proposition going only to be, I don't know, the illustration of the text? Or do you want it to convey a message? What kind of message? So in other words, what would it mean if he came dressed like that? I know, a couple of minutes to... dress the groom. I don't know, you can discuss it in person, so we can talk in a moment, yeah? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I hope we'll discuss. Of course, I hope it works, because usually when we discuss, the students would already have seen the performance in the reverse order. Now I'm trying to do something else, but okay, ideas. Do you have any ideas about this disrespectful, inappropriate apparel of the group? Okay, naked.
In an underwear.
Underwear.
The uniform.
Yeah.
And a tie, kind of inappropriate tie on this
Everyone wants to nude.
Red dress.
Red dress.
Wedding gown. What is that?
Yeah.
A wedding gown.
A wedding gown.
Yeah, exactly the same as his future wife.
Okay. Same. Okay. Okay. Well, the second part, the second question: do you only want to illustrate a text, or is there an additional meaning?
For me, it's it's just the position of the elements. It's not the contrast. It's not representation. It's another layer. So this is unreverent. It's not, but this as well mirrors the woman he's going to marry, and that is another layer to the scene.
Mm-hmm. Underwear. Additional meaning, or just you want to show the character as rude? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Violent in a way, yeah. Yeah. So it's an important day. Oh, national.
No, but it depends upon the other people.
Yeah, of course. If it's, I don't know, in contrast with the others, it might be probably. Yeah. Okay. So I think it's time to watch the part. Wedding scene. Okay, so and yeah, just a moment before I start. As I told you, it's almost 7 minutes, so it takes a bit. Sorry for the quality of the video, but it was recorded for television, and it's not the best quality, but that's what we have. So I would like to, especially in the first part, for those who don't know the performance and have not seen it, I'd like you to focus also on your feelings, emotions, whatever. We'll talk in a moment. Danuta Stenka. The actress mentioned earlier.
Co ludzie na to? Ileż będzie kpin? Ksiądz dawno czeka ze stół, tymczasem pana młodego jak nie ma, tak nie ma. I co ty powiesz na tę naszą hańbę?
Ręczę za dobre intencje Petruccio, że się nie zjawia, widać, siła wyższa.
Witam cię, panie!
Powitanie chłodne.
Zmartwiliśmy trochę czekając na ciebie.
Który przybyłeś nie dość, że spóźniony, to jeszcze w sprawie niezbyt odpowiedni.
Śpieszyło mi się, ruszyłem jak stałem. A ty, mój teściu, jak się masz? Panowie, chmury na czołach, czemu tak patrzycie, jakbyście mieli przed sobą złowróżną kometę albo inny dziw natury?
Czyż nie wiesz, że to dzień twego wesela? Najpierw martwiłeś nas nieobecnością, teraz nas martwisz niestosownym strojem. Zrzuć łaty, które cię kompromitują i oporażą w dniu takiego święta.
Zdradź nam też, jaki to istotny powód mógł cię tak długo dzielić od wybranki.
Relacja byłaby nudna i długa. Ważne, żebym przybył, dotrzymując słowa. Poranek mija, poranek przed ołtarz.
Nie stawaj przed nią w tak niegodnym stroju, choć ze mną dam ci któreś z moich ubrań.
Ale tak przecież nie pójdziesz do ślubu.
Czemu nie?
Ja, Petruccio,
Ja, Petruccio,
biorę Ciebie, Katarzyno, za żonę
biorę sobie ciebie, Katarzyno, za żonę
i ślubuję Ci miłość, wierność i uczciwość małżeńską
i ślubuję ci miłość, wierność i uczciwość
oraz,
małżeńską
że Cię nie opuszczasz do
oraz,
śmierci.
że cię nie opuszczasz do śmierci.
Ja, Katarzyna,
Ja, Katarzyna,
biorę Ciebie, Petruccio, za męża
biorę Ciebie, Petruccio, za męża i ślubuję Ci miłość, wierność i uczciwość małżeńską oraz, że Cię nie opuszczę aż do śmierci.
Co Bóg złączył, człowiek niech nie rozdziela. Małżeństwo przez was zawarte, ja powagą Kościoła katolickiego zatwierdzam i błogosławię w imię Ojca i Syna i Ducha Świętego. Amen.
Amen. Amen, amen.
Thingy. Yeah, I cut it here. Rather rough cut, sorry. Okay, so you were right.
Well, it's the 1998, of course.
Of course. Okay, what I forgot about is, sorry. Come on. Okay, so what I forgot about is the text and the description you can find in the Taming of Shrew. The version on the top is the original and modernized version in italics. So Petruccio is coming in a new hat and an old vest, pair of old pants turned inside out, and so on, so on. I won't read it at the moment. His horse looks rather miserable, and that's what we could start with. Okay, questions. I have to combine them somehow. Mainly because you said it would be a wedding gown. But I would like to think with you for a moment about the tension between the text and what we see on stage, and maybe try to think as the students of the first year, so they're mostly 19, 20. What do you think of Petruccio's apparel? Would you describe it as inappropriate, disgraceful? Why? Why? If the answer is yes, why? If not? And we can also talk a bit about the intended message of the scene. Of course, it's 1998, yeah? Could you elaborate?
Well, the juxtaposition, the thinking of having this way of adding meaning layers to the. You can interpret that from different points of view as an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not dare to say that there's one answer, probably that the director has one, but the reading by the audience would be different, I think so, because of that. Okay. Because there's many messages in that scene.
Can we try to somehow identify the message?
One could be of the telling the wife that he's mocking the being a wife in the whole construction of it.
The whole concept of being a wife of marriage, maybe.
And yes, and can be very sympathetical, I think, on one way, or very disrespectful and evil almost on the other side. I'm sorry, I'm giving you very side, so it's difficult to
Yeah.
The other would be just the aesthetics of it.
So it looks nice, or it's bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If you have any
More definitely, I think the way he grabs her by the wrist,
Yep.
okay, is basically assuming immediately actually control over her, and in such a moment when it should be like the husband and wife, the teacher, the bride and the groom, they hold hands, whereas here it's he takes over the control.
Yeah, that's a manifestation of power.
Right, manifestation of power.
Also that he uses very long time. He's late and driving around. I'm late, but I'm not. I'm here and showing off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think that there is this very interesting tension, and it's not really only the tension of everyone waiting, but the tension between being a non-conformist and being simply cruel. As long, I think the crucial gestures were the one thing Anna mentioned, this one grabbing hands, because as long as what he's just fooling around, we can say, okay, he's mocking, let's say, maybe not even Catherine, he's mocking conventions. Yes, there is this just a mockery of conventions. And if we are just non-conformist, it's not against Catherine, but against society and the conventions that, and the audience is involved also here to this scene. But, and it seems to be innocuous. Yeah, so it seems even, to some extent, maybe even positive, okay? We are like non-conformists. Until that very moment when he grabs her hand, and it turns out he's not just a non-conformist, he's cruel, he's brutal. He's as much against society as he's against a human being, Catherine in this case. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's okay. Something here.
Yeah, from the perspective of what he's cross-dressed.
Yes.
He's a transvestite. So it's a totally different kind of marriage that at the moment probably is absolutely illegal, as we all know it. And this is a Catholic Church marriage. So obviously a mockery is on top of that made of the ceremony itself, naturally. And I like this moment when the priest hesitates.
Yeah.
Okay, calling
husband.
Husband.
Yeah.
Right. So even the priest himself, okay, recognizes the fact that actually who he sees is actually somebody very much resembling a woman, right? So he has a problem with naming the gender of the person standing in front of him in this particular case.
The questions that could follow is, do you think it's a political statement?
The way
on
I
the
see
part
it now,
of
yes.
In 1998?
Last.
Yeah, because I think that's a question we should also reflect on, the difference between late 90s and almost 25 years later.
Sorry, we're not talking about the situation in 1998 and how same-sex marriages were perceived there in Poland. Today, it's a big medial issue, right? On both sides of the political scene, so to say.
Then it was more of a joke than a political statement.
Well, certainly, yeah, certainly the reaction of this spectator.
Remember, it was a cruel joke.
I would like to bring into the picture the context of Catherine, who begins by terrorizing the world around her. Because it's the only strategy in which she can defend her freedom, her being herself. She refuses to conform to rituals, to what is expected of a woman, because she wants to be herself. And she is unacceptable, unreverent.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, when Petruchio comes in and decides that he will get her, he decides not to tame her. He decides to get the money. And he makes absolutely no secret of it. How does he work? He works by violence, by Kate's strategy, because she is violent. And I think that in that particular sequence, you can see that she still sits and she is the queen of the space. She is the main figure, and she will have everything her way. He comes on a motorcycle, he comes late, he comes on a motorcycle, he comes dressed in an absurd way, and he definitely makes a shortcut through the whole ceremony. So he, with all these aspects, he brings violence. It's the beginning of the violence which will fight the independence of Kate, the beginning of her downfall. That's how I see it.
I really don't know the play, and I'm very cautious about saying this, but because this action is violent, but at the same time, I read into it because I read many more layers into it, and you just kind of confirmed it. It is also just I'm you. I'm as you. Cannot we are not yes. We not we yes. And because if you say that she used violence as well, then you use that against her, and this is the way to. It's not necessarily, it's not a nice thing to do, but it's not only violence, not violence from a man to a woman. It's more than that. I think so.
Yeah.
But I don't know the play that much.
We don't know enough about the play. What we don't get is the context of the production.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so okay, I think I'll jump to next one. So we'll have a broader context, and the subject of violence will come back. So we're in the fourth act of the play, and there comes the tailor. And maybe I'll read it, it will be faster. The tailor has prepared elegant and expensive clothes for that means Petruchio's and Kate's, journey back to Baptista's house in Padua. Predictably, Petruchio finds fault with everything that Kate likes, from the cap to the gown, and he blames the tailor for the poor craftsmanship. The tailor tries to deflect the blame onto Grumio, another character, and is forced to leave. Okay, I'll skip a bit, and then Petruchio tells Kate that they will leave at once for Padua in the clothes that they have on. Again, that's the point of departure. And I will show you the second scene from this one. And just give me a moment, sorry, it's quite complicated navigating it.
Dobra, co my tu mamy, dziewczynki? Ściągaj to, maleńka. Ściśnij dupę, wypnij pierś. No, jeżeli się trochę postarasz, to może coś z tego będzie, Wanda, spódnica? Waleria, jaka spódnica? Wanda, twoja spódnica. Nie. Nie dam! Jak daję, tak nie dam! Waleria, Wanda utyła w dupie.
Coś ty powiedziała? Coś ty powiedziała, ja utyłam?
No dobra.
Ja utyłam, tak? Ja utyłam?
Nie wiem, drobny retuszyk. Co to jest?
No to popatrz sobie! O!
A nie mówiłam? Utyła w dupie.
Kto harował na tą spódniczkę? Od ust sobie odejmowałam!
Garściami!
W najgorszych dzielnicach! Mogąca się jeszcze w dodatku zarazić na jej!
No dobrze, Wanda, skończyłaś? Weź te ręce.
A właśnie, że nie skończyłam!
Dziewczynki, hojnie proszę. Buciki, kurteczka, ale to już, no. A co ty tak stoisz? Ty połknęłaś róż dubsko. I to ma być kobieta.
Ale mój chłop to by na taką nie spojrzał.
A kiedy ty masz chłopa?
Zazdrosna jesteś, ty wysuszona szkapo. Piękny jest, ma wysoki iloraz inteligencji. Mnie jeszcze nigdy nie pobił po pijaku.
No dobrze, dobrze. Spójrz na mnie. Na mnie spójrz. Biodra pracują tak. Piersi pracują tak. A usta pracują tak. Powiedz p. 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 P.
Przysięgam. Nigdy w życiu. Nie widziałam milszej, zgrabniejszej, gustowniejszej sukni.
Jeśli to wstyd dla ciebie, winę złóż na moje barki. Weselmy się zatem. Jedziemy bawić się do twego ojca.
Okay. Violence. Usually when I discuss this production with my students, we also read a text about how this particular performance appropriates the question of performativity of gender, and that's one of the starting points. So what I like to call this scene lesson on being a woman. So we can yeah, just let me come back to this. So sorry. Yeah. So actually I have to ask this question. Are you familiar with the term gender ideology? Sure. The Poles are. Are you? Gender ideology, yeah. Of course, quotation marks. Yeah, because that's, I would like to refer to the third question, of course, and the meaning of replacing the tailor with the three drag queens, transvestites, and the question what topics can be discussed on the basis of this substitution. And I think it's really important, I really find it important to talk to the students theoretically, mostly, on the term gender and methodology of gender studies and so-called gender ideology, because that's to explain that's the term that is very often used in media, particularly in right-wing conservative media. And what is assumed there is that there is some particular ideology connected with the concept of gender that opposes the traditional, the correct way of seeing the world, and so on, so on, so on. You can imagine. It's really hard to describe. It sounds pretty irrational, but that's...
Gender is ideology, not people.
That's LGBT plus and so on. Yeah. Of course, we're somehow joking and we know the reference, but yeah, that text about...
The reference here is not exactly to them.
Yeah, not exactly to that. It's about, okay, so usually we talk about what actually does it mean to be a woman? How is gender constructed socially, and so on, so on. I think we all know that, so I don't want to discuss it in a great detail, but maybe you can think after watching this particular scene of other topics that could be discussed with students. And yeah.
I just have one question. Then you have the focus on the performance and not on the text.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But just to state it.
Yeah. Or compare it, yeah? I don't mean to leave the text totally, but yeah.
There's one crucial difference between the performance and the text.
Yes.
Really crucial. In this performance, and that was the most horrible thing. Everyone was against Kate.
Yes.
In the text, she has at least this poor tailor who sympathizes. No one sympathizes with Kate. It's torture.
Mm-hmm.
It's psychological torture. And I'm not sure really if I dared to talk about gender in whatever context, because this is a very special way of not only treating what it means to be a woman, what it is not to be a woman, how we treat women, but this is inhuman.
Exactly, I agree.
A person is left with no sympathy at all. Whatever sex she is,
Of course, yeah.
It's really moving, this seems.
Yes.
Maybe that was intentional.
Of course, it's the whole production is quite cruel in treating the main character. Although in the beginning, as you mentioned, actually being a shrew is, I would say, her only weapon.
Doesn't justify the way she's treated here.
Of course not. That's a way of her trying to, I don't know, negotiate a space for herself.
She has no movement here.
Yeah.
No chance.
At this point, no, not at all.
Is the performance? I haven't seen the performance, and it's a very long time since I've seen just a movie version of this play. But is this performance actually accelerating the cruelness which is in the text? Because it's Yes, and this performance perhaps is accelerating.
Yeah.
Because she is treated so badly.
Yes, there were other productions, because I saw a production with Łomicki, actually, yes, Petruchio, and Tadeusz Łomicki.
That was a comment.
That was done in the second right.
So it's a
It's not. Not at all. Yeah. I was thinking about what you said, that you wouldn't dare to talk about gender on the basis of... I should have said that before, but actually I proposed this topic because I want to hear from you, not to tell you.
I wasn't saying that I wouldn't dare because of ideological reasons. I wouldn't the context of that scene, because this is, I don't know, it's somehow, the scene is so uncomfortable to watch. I'm not sure if I would be able now, I mean, when we are talking about that, I'm not sure if I'm able to go from that scene to discuss something, let's say, ideological, yes, theoretical very much, because okay, if you take the butlerism and this performativity of gender, you go into theory, but what we've just seen is a scene of human suffering, even on stage.
It ties in perfectly with this concept of gender ideology, right? Which is about disrespect, right? Which is about condemning people who do not fit into this, binary gender model of the right way.
Yeah, of course.
In other words, this approach to gender ideology or LGBT ideology, whatever approach, makes the other totally inhuman.
Absolutely. On the other hand, Jacek, I think, if I may, it's actually, I don't think that drag queens, actually, that they hate women. These drag queens, they hated Kate. And I'm not sure, I don't know that much, but I think they clearly mocked her and actually hated her. Whereas,
of course, I think it depends on what you stress. Of course, the situation is oppressive, but at the same time, when you come to the basis, it's, I would say, men disguised as women teaching a woman how to be a woman. Yeah, so of course it always depends on situation and particular dynamics of the class, but I think if I had to defend my idea somehow, and of course, sorry, you don't have the context of the whole production, so it's always different, but okay, Inville, sorry.
Yes, but it's possible for me to identify with Kate. Standing there like her and being mocked like that in all ways, physically, I mean, also. And we should discuss a kind of mocking people. And in this special example, it's a woman.
Yeah. Who should look in a certain way, behave.
I'm afraid that we mustn't take a distance from the real problem which is shown us here. And that's the problem of mocking.
It's kind of like the drag queens are the means to mock. It's not about them or the gender in that way. Just, as you say, the thing that they are men.
And so on.
But it's more the mocking, the cruelty than the gender of. It's that the meaning to the right?
Sure.
It's about exclusion.
Yes.
It's an upside down sort of situation.
Yes.
So it's like what you call them stunning mirrors, where you see everything not in the right way. Okay?
Like a
normally
distorting,
exclude the drag queens, and here the drag queens exclude hate. And it's about exclusion. It's not about LGBT. It's not about ideology. It's about people by being cruel to others, excluding them, not giving them a chance to be a human being.
Yes.
Right? And you may turn it this way, that way.
Of course.
That's what it shows.
Yeah.
We could put a man in the same role and women doing the same terrible, horrible things to a man. Try to think about it. Making you look terrible. You can't walk because you have something on your feet that is terrible for you. And your body is then falling apart as a man. So, yes, I think it's cruelty of a discussion. Yes.
here also this idea of painting the lips.
Yes.
It shows she's like a doll.
Mm.
The humanizing
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be different today if it was staged in, of course,
Yeah, of course it would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course I can tell now it wasn't on purpose actually, but I mentioned the theory and met with resistance somehow. But no, I know. Just let me finish the sentence, please. What I think we actually saw is that when 10, 15, 20 people meet, and we usually have a class of around 20 people, so we've got different angles, yeah? Different topics come up.
If I may ask you this question a little bit, how students respond to these things? Are they shocked or not interested or
not shocked. I don't know if it shocked on what level. Maybe not aesthetically, no, but they are. Some of them are really deeply moved. I think the last discussion we had, it was last year, I think. We talked about beauty, the concept of beauty, female beauty in a culture. So what are the expectations? How should women dress, look like, behave, and so on? So it's practically every time it's a bit different. So sometimes it's about I don't know, theory. It happened once, I think, that they really delve into the text and discuss the theoretical concept, but usually they can relate somehow the scene on level of acknowledging suffering or somehow. Sometimes we start with, okay, so take a look at others and how you're dressed today. So is that? Because if you notice, there is a line, this is supposed to be a woman. So what does it mean? This is supposed to be a woman. What does it mean, supposed to be a woman? What's the supposition? What's the assumption? Yeah, so sometimes they refer to this particular line. And so, okay, so how does a woman look like? Yeah, so different discussion, different levels, but I think I like this production, even though it's almost a quarter of century old. Yeah.
Is there any reaction like laughing sometimes? I'm just curious. Is it possible that they treat it as a joke? I don't know.
Sometimes, but it's sometimes it's rather laughing with the jokes, and you probably noticed that it's a very specific sense of humor. They are vulgar, and so that's they don't laugh at Kate, I think. Yeah. Okay. It's tough, isn't it? Do we need 5 minutes break or something, or? We'll deal with 2 Shakespearean productions. So the second one, as you remember, I promised 2 Shakespearean productions. The second one is A Midsummer Night's Dream. And the director was Maja Kleczewska. It was 2006, Krakow, Stary Theater. I'm trying to go full screen. Okay, just basic context, the reading, the interpretation of the play was obviously influenced by Jan Kot. So if you expect comedy, it's not. I mentioned it before. So this whole play is set in a nightclub, and it's, as I wrote you, a description of the world in which love is impossible. As you might remember, Midsummer Night's Dream is a comedy about love, and the love which is brought down to sexual attraction and desire, the characters who struggle with isolation, longing, feeling of unfulfillment, and try to retreat from the world into entertainment. That's the shortest description I could give you, just a glimpse, yeah, of the production. Some pictures, so you can only, that's, you can see the set, and Roman Gancarczyk in the front as Oberon, and Puck, one of the pair of lovers. Lysander and Hermia, or Demetrius and Helena. Sorry.
Looks more like Helena.
Yeah, Demetrius and Helena, I believe, but yeah. The story goes. That's the scene with Titania and Bottom, who's turned into a donkey and dances for the queen. And the royal couple, you can see that it's not a very happy marriage. No, it starts. Actually, the whole production starts with the words that love died. Miłość umarła. Okay. So. Second wedding, then. It's the very end of the play and the performance. We have the craftsmen of Athens who have prepared the most lamentable comedy and most cruel death of Pyramus and Thisbe. The performance is prepared for the occasion of wedding, and the characters of this play, it is a play within the play, performed by the craftsmen who are amateurs, horrible actors. So it's, even here, it's a bit of a comedy. I'll show you just the last part of this cruel death of Pyramus and Thisbe, actually. So within the play, we have a couple of characters. Pyramus and Thisbe, that's a couple. A wall, one of the actors played the wall, and the lovers talk to each other through the wall, actually through the wall. There's a moonshine, another character, and a lion. So Snug, that's the name of this craftsman, enters as a lion, and Thisbe, scared away, goes somewhere to the back. Actually, I think he, the actor playing Thisbe, hides under the table. So her lover thinks that she's gone and commits suicide. Afterwards, Thisbe just likewise, sorry. Okay, so, yeah. Just give me a moment. Sorry, I'm getting tired as well. Okay, that's the, sorry, it was a struggle with technology, so I couldn't cut the exact fragment, and just for for those who don't speak Polish. Couldn't cut it and couldn't insert. Yet. Excuse me. Yet. That's the thing for. Just in case. Okay. So. A bit more, I think. Yes. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, let's start some. Yeah, that's.
Wzroku cię kwisz, mroku się znisz. Petruszko ma, uśnie. O, kury, ślad, to lew, zły gad, wpadł, zdarzeń twarz, diabły kwiat. O, zlećcie się furie, zacznijcie wyć, niech życia nic się urwie. Łzy ogród, ten wieczór zrób, z piersi wyrama trudne, śmierć piersi wziąć i sięć się, sięć, a serce zrobi tik.
Ty śpisz, mój śnie? Umarłeś? Nie. Nie, proszę cię. Proszę cię, nie. Nie. Mów do mnie. Proszę cię. Mów do mnie. Ten liwak. Różowy kark. Oka, zielony groch. Kaczyńcy lic. I nosa szpic, grat, zdrat i strat. Staw groch. Lecz precz, uzo, precz. Niech rzecz tę miecz tnie. Tnie jak gordyjski supleł. Nie czuł. Krwaw biust. Ja biorę sobie Ciebie za żonę i ślubuję Ci miłość, wierność i uczciwość małżeńską oraz że Cię nie opuszczę aż do śmierci.
Stop here for a moment, sorry. Can I? just want to make sure. Can you see who the bride is? Because it's Sebastian Pawlak playing the puck. Yeah. Yeah, that's the very end. There's no this epilogue. The conventional epilogue is also cut out, skipped here. Sorry, told you that not a comedy. So I'll come back to the. It is sad, of course. So I know it's late. We're tired, so I'll try to. Yeah. Just can give you a glimpse what we usually talk about during the class. So I would ask my students to use the adjective. Feel free to propose one. So we have the scene when Park recites the wedding vows to a sex doll. So what adjective would you use to describe the scene? Why? Gross. Yeah. For example, yeah?
I'd say sad.
Sad. Any other?
Weird.
Weird. Why? Yeah, because what I want my students to do is to, on one level, talk about meanings, but on the other level, think about if they can relate to the scene, express their personal views. Yeah, so this question, why do you perceive this as weird, gross, sad? Yeah, what does it mean to you? Yeah? I think these questions might be important when we think about teaching or using Shakespeare. Of course, we could talk about love, because we all, what was it? I want to know what love is. Yes. Yeah, but. Okay, how would you describe the vision of love presented in the play within the play? Because Maja Klaczewska clearly wanted to juxtapose these two visions.
She guides us by presenting the play within the play the way she does.
Of course.
She makes us look at Bach and his final words.
Through the lens of it.
The play within the play, which is supposed to be a fiction without fiction. Don't forget about that.
Of course.
No more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I think the idea in showing the play within the play might be because we don't laugh much when we. I think it works because there are no comments from the audience. Because usually when you have a play, when you have the comments somehow suggest in a way almost like what the audience should think. Here it is quite. We know that there is something strange, that they speak the language they speak is a bit funny, but at the same time we see real emotions. And as if it is a suggestion that, okay, however funny it might be, why should we laugh at however silly they might seem? Why should we laugh at people who suffer now, who they are in love? Maybe that love is really something we don't accept, or we treat it as silly, or
naive,
something that is incompatible. And yet we see them suffering, and the suffering stops us, I think, from laughing properly in that way we would laugh in.
Interesting that there are two really different approaches to acting, presenting on stage. Also, this issue about in the scene between Pernis and Thursby. Pernis is clearly overdoing it, and this is the moment when you can laugh at, his inability to play such a tragic scene.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Thisbe, she, when I say she, I don't say he. She is very convinced. I was touched by this performance. She was really moving for her work. It wasn't exaggerated, except obviously for the present process. But otherwise, and also films. I couldn't believe my eyes that the actor like perfectly still with his eyes open, right? Mouth slightly open, couldn't see the link. Right? Now this was seriously a dead body.
Yeah. And you mentioned Thisbe. When you look at Bogdan Brzyski, the actor that plays this part, I'm not sure if you can see it here, but there are tears on his face. Yeah, yeah. He cries, cries. You said something about real emotions. You used that expression. Yeah. What does it mean, real emotions in fiction within the fiction? Of course, we know it's a kind of a theoretical question, but I think it is important here, and in this particular reading also. That's why I picked up that expression, real emotions.
I don't know the play.
But just this part.
Is it so that maybe Pyramus and Thisbe are more real than the other lovers in this play?
Just remember where it takes place.
Yeah.
It's a nightclub, yeah.
To put it nicely.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
It seems so.
Yeah.
From the very last scene.
Yeah, I think so.
The stage of emotions are maybe even more real than this.
Yeah, there's emotions in the play, yeah? What we see all the time. And we should remember that actually here it's a triple wedding taking place. So we can see all those couples sitting bored, and we have real emotions here. I wanted to talk a bit about this particular expression, because what if we were to treat this play within the play as a kind of theatrical device? What does it say about the theater, its role in society, commenting the reality that surrounds us? Yeah, that's another topic we could discuss, I think, but maybe it's time to have a short break and prepare for the next workshop. I had one thing to discuss with you, but
We still have 10 minutes. Joanna just asked me to take a break at 4:30, 5 minutes break. That's all she needs. So if you
all she needs. Okay, so maybe a topic to discuss like we started discussing yesterday evening, so maybe that's, if we had time, maybe I'll try here, but I can show you, try to...
Don't waste time.
Yeah, that's, instead of conclusions, let us ask more questions. Yeah, I didn't want to prepare it as I'm not a perfect teacher and I'm not teaching, so just to share something with you. But I also thought about the questions I have, and I don't have the answers or have some answers. But the question we started discussing yesterday evening was, should we talk with our students, put it simply, about life? Because, of course, we teach different courses, we teach literature, theater, whatever, and we should teach them who, let's say, Shakespeare, Rushdie, and so on, is. But is there a space in the university to talk about what is going around. What is somehow going around us? What is the reality around us? How our students perceive this everything that goes on? What are their worldviews? Yeah, because from time to time, of course, we have some information, but should we? Why? Shouldn't we? Why? What are the advantages, disadvantages? I think we can somehow talk about it later, but more questions instead of conclusions. That would be, I think, the conclusion of this workshop. So thank you, and sorry I couldn't show you fragments of H. But I think, especially people from Gdańsk, know it by heart, so maybe. Okay, thank you.